In this section, we're going to talk about the weighted analysis.
In this section, you're going to grade or score your comparable sales used in your appraisal report. What you're going to do is, let's take date of sale for example. Say comp 1 closed a month ago. You might want to grade it as a 5. If comp 2 closed 6 months ago, you might want to grade it a 4 or a 3, and so on and so on. If all of your comparables are in the same neighborhood, same location, you might not even worry about grading location because they're all going to be the same. What you mainly want to focus on is grading and scoring the differences with the comparables to the subject or the comparables to each comparable. If there's differences, you need to grade them. You will also notice down a little further below the porch and patio there are 3 blanks. Those are the fields from your, for example, 1004, where you add things at the bottom like fencing and pools and guest houses. That's where you can add things like that here. The next thing you're going to want to do is put in your adjusted sale price from your appraisal report. This is after you've made adjustments on your grid. You're going to come down and put the adjusted sales price in these blanks. You don't need 6 comparables, but if you had 6 comparables, great, but 3 will work. And here's an example for you. As you can see, probably the dates of sale were very recent, similar to the subject, similar location, but we did have site differences. So we made adjustments accordingly, and then down bathroom count, porches, sprinkler system, etc. Then you can see we put the adjusted sales price in, and it weighed our comparables, giving most weight to comp 1 with 31.6% weight. And after computing with the adjusted sales price, it came up with 181,856, which you could, appraise this property at 181, 182, 180. It's totally up to you.
We've got several other ways that you can measure value by a weighted system. One is by the number of adjustments on the grid of your form. In other words, taking into consideration this section of the form, you put in the sale prices, less the concessions, and then it will compute the net sale price. Then, how many adjustments did you actually make? But we won't want to consider the concessions because we're already taking those into consideration. So below the concessions line, let's say you made an adjustment for site and the GLA and maybe a porch patio. So you made 3 adjustments. You would enter 3 here. And the same for all the other comparable sales. Again, you'll notice at the top there's a little speaker icon. If you have some trouble and you want to look and get some more guidance, you can click on that, and this little black bar will print up, and you can click on the little play button, and you'll hear Frank or myself give you some little extra advice here. Off to the right, you see a little help with a question mark. If you click on that, you'll see some other written instruction as well to help you out with this. Below that, you'll see the weighted by net dollars. All you need is the net adjustment at the bottom of your report form, and it will compute a weighted system for you in that manner too. Okay, in this section, here's an example of what we were talking about with a weighted by the number of adjustments. Take the sale price of each of the comparable properties that you're using in your URAR or your 2055, your report form. You're going to enter in the concessions for each one, and that will equate to the net sale price. Then we talked about the number of adjustments on the grid. Let's say I had a GLA adjustment, and that was the only one for comp 1. So you're going to enter a 1. Now, the question may be is, what if I don't have any adjustments? What if I have the exact same floor plan down the street and the answer is 0? Well, just like in any type of math form we learned in school, anything times 0 is that. So even if you don't have one adjustment, you always want to enter a 1 here. Then you see the others, comps 2, 3, and 4, where we had 3 and 2 and 2 respectively. Once this equates, all of it will enter up, and you see a value conclusion of 182,174.
Okay, in this section we're going to figure out value by the weighted by net dollars and weighted by gross dollars. As you will see, the sale prices of the comparables populated for you from the number of adjustments up above. So all you really need to add here is net dollar adjustments from your appraisal report. And then on the next one, on the weighted by gross dollars, the gross dollar adjustment is the actual dollar amounts in the grid, all of those added up. So you're going to actually need to go to the gross living area adjustment, take that number, add it with the adjustment from the porch or patio, and then site, and so on. That's where this figure would come from. And then, as you can see, these numbers are coming in pretty close to the weighted systems above.
In this example, we had 4 different weighted systems. And out of those 4 numbers, you'll see down at the bottom right is a reconcile. That is for you, based on all the weighted systems that you used, or even the ones you didn't use. You're going to come up with your opinion. You're going to reconcile all of them together to come up with one opinion of value. This last portion of the companion is the weighted value determination. Again, you'll see a little speaker icon. You can click on there and it'll help give you some more guidance. But again, you want to enter the file number, and you'll see that it automatically populated the sales comparison analysis of 181.5 from the work you did above. Now, if you performed the cost approach, you're going to want to enter that number there, as well as the income approach. If you did not perform one of the approaches, leave them blank. There's no necessary to enter a 0 or anything. Just leave it blank. The next section is the cost approach, sales approach, income approach, all based on the quality, quantity, and appropriateness. This comes from the standard rule 1-5 out of USPAP. It discusses specifically in 1-5A the quality and quantity of the data that you had within the approaches to value. And 1-5B talks about how appropriate each of the approaches of value were based on the information you had. So just like above, we're going to actually score these just like we did before. 1 through 5. Remember, anything times 0 gives you that. 0, so it won't work. 1's your lowest number. Quality. How good was the information? Quantity. How much of that information did you have? And then appropriateness. If you have a 50-year-old property that you're appraising, is the cost approach really appropriate? And you score these as necessary. So what we've done, I'm going to show you an example next of one that's filled out so that you can see how this form works. So here's an example of one that's been filled out. The cost approach, you could use the Marshall & Swift, you can use NADA, the Blue Book, maybe a web service that's out there. If you use local builders, you probably want to have that information available. That's one of the regulators will be looking for. So again, whatever source you use, that's fine, but whatever your cost approach value came in to be, you're going to want to enter that number here. Remember, we mentioned the 181.5 for the sales comparison auto-populated. So now again, quality, quantity, and appropriate. Cost approach. You're going to need to understand and know your property. Is this a 50-year-old house? Is this a 10-year-old house? All these numbers will be different, but again, they're your opinions. So, how good is the information that you have? How much of it do you have? And how appropriate will it be? In this case, you see the income approach is left blank. It may have been a single-family residence where there's very little rental activity in the area, and the income approach didn't apply in the first place. So that approach to value was not performed. Once all this is done, the companion will calculate these numbers, and you'll see at the bottom the dollar value of the subject based on these actually giving consideration to the cost approach and the sales approach. The values of 181,890. Then you will need to manually go in and your reconciled value. It's your opinion. You're going to enter your number here. Whether it's 181.5 is in the example, if you like 182, if you like 181, again, it's your opinion. You do the similar thing here where you actually give weight based on the cost approach and how good your information was, how much of it you had, and how appropriate it is, as well as the sales comparison, and if you did the income approach. It all calculates it out, and then you get to reconcile your final opinion of value. That's the weighted system. This is something you're going to want to do each and every appraisal report you do, It doesn't take very long because most of it's auto-populated for you. All you're going to do is score your comparable sales, and once you get that done, the rest of this form pretty much fills out itself until down at the bottom. Then you do the weighted value determination. Total time, if this takes you more than 5 minutes, you're doing something wrong. It shouldn't take you that long. But again, think about it. 5 minutes to do all of this, put it in your work file. Doesn't matter whoever ever asks you a question about it, you're going to have an answer for them. It's going to help you give a better supported appraisal report. It's going to give you a better appraisal report.